couple problems with conspiracies. First one being, somebody always tells. The more people you involve with what you're doing, the greater that risk becomes. So when you're having conversations in your kitchen in front of multiple people about killing your ex-husband, you're creating problems for yourself. And that's what Shara Wright did right from the get-go. She's already in this conspiracy, and she's already running the risk that somebody always tells. And here, someone did tell. Jimmy Martin told in 2012. What his motivations were, who knows? Could be if you maybe promised to pay his legal fees and you don't end up paying them. Maybe somebody's holding a grudge against you and decides to talk. So that's a problem you got. And that's how we're here. Because this case was dead in the water. This was a cold case. They investigated in 2010, didn't charge anybody. 2012, Jimmy Martin comes forward and tells them what happened. He gets picked back up in 2016, and now the officers can go find evidence. They can go talk to other witnesses they maybe didn't know who they were before. They can find things to confirm Jimmy Martin's story. But that all comes from someone's always going to tell. Your number two problem with conspiracy, these are amateurs. We talked about this during openings and what ear. They're written a 1-800 hitman hotline. So if you're Shara Wright, you decide to kill your husband, who are you going to get to help you? You can't just go down to Home Depot and ask around for murderers. So maybe you ask your cousin. He's kind of a shady dude, already has some legal problems. Maybe you're helping him out pay his bills. He may owe you. Who else do you ask? Friends, family, people from church. Maybe somebody you trust. Maybe somebody that's at your house all the time. Someone, per his statement, you've had sex with at least once. Someone you've had phone contact with 186 times during a 30-day period. That works out to about a little over 6 times a day. Who do you trust? Who are you going to get to help you? Your friend, baby, lover, Billy Turner. So, let's go through the elements real quick. First-degree murder, clearly we got a murder. Lorenzen Wright killed, shot multiple times. Clearly that was intentional, and you've heard the proof from multiple people. Claudia, Jimmy, it's not in dispute. This was planned out beforehand. Clearly there's premeditation. The elements for first-degree murder, premeditated, have been met. Conspiracy, an agreement. We went over this a lot during voir dire. You have your jury instructions you can look over. They'll say something that probably looks a lot like this. An agreement to commit a crime, here a murder, intent to do it, and that one party committed an overt act. Well, you know there was at least one overt act because he's dead. You have a lot of overt acts that go into planning, getting things, setting things up, cleaning up, all that kind of stuff. But there's at least one overt act you absolutely know about. That's the murder. Course of conduct which terminates when the objectives of the conspiracy are completed. So it's not just when the murder happened, it's when the entire plan is done. Planning the murder, setting up the murder, committing the murder, cleaning up after the murder, hiding things, making sure nobody finds out. Just in this last part. Specifically in your jury instructions, it'll say concealing the crime. So when we're talking about a conspiracy, we've got any agreement between these folks, and anybody does an overt act up to and including the cover-up. And you've certainly heard from at least 2 witnesses about meetings to kill Lorenzen Wright, where Billy Turner was present. We know the overt act was committed because he's dead. We'll go over some other overt acts that were committed as we walk through this. So the elements of conspiracy to commit first-degree murder have been met. Criminal attempt, first-degree murder. You're going to do the murder, but you don't pull it off. You take a substantial step towards committing the murder of Lorenzen Wright. This is a charge for going to Atlanta when Billy and Jimmy went to Atlanta together. Getting in a car, getting guns, driving to a house, sneaking in a back window the sheriff probably left open for you, and walking around trying to find the person to kill, but he's not there. That is a substantial step towards the commission of the murder of Lorenzen Wright. It's a whole bunch of substantial steps. So the elements for criminal attempt first-degree murder have been met. So we've met all the elements. All we're talking about now is who did it, what's their involvement. So you had Jimmy's testimony. It was long, went on a while, but the one thing you've had with Jimmy that's been consistent throughout all his meetings and talking to the police, and all that, Billy Turner involved, sheriff's involved. There's a plot to kill Lorenzen Wright. There's a plot to do it in Atlanta. Gun thrown in the lake. Those things, he always says. Let's go through his testimony real quick. Sheriff Wright initiated a plan to kill Lorenzen Wright. Members of the conspiracy were him and Billy, Sheriff. They had at least one meeting at Sheriff's house where a pregnant lady was present. The police have no idea who this pregnant lady is when he's telling them about this in 2012. Lo and behold, we got a pregnant lady, Claudia Robinson. She told you. At various times, Sheriff provides guns and money for him to go to Atlanta and kill Lorenzen Wright. We've got them talking about guns and money on those Facebook messages. Jimmy fakes going to Atlanta and keeps whatever Sheriff provided. Now that's interesting. Because that's the kind of guy Jimmy is. You're going to make a plan with him. You're going to give him money and guns. And say, okay, I'll do it. And then he sells the guns, keeps the money, and sits in Batesville and does whatever he's doing in Batesville. Not the most reliable guy. You got Jimmy then has to go with Atlanta with Billy to kill Lorenzen Wright. He's got to go with Billy because Sheriff's not a complete idiot. If she sends him again to Atlanta by himself with money and guns, what's he going to do? He's going to keep the money and sell the guns and hang out in Batesville. So who else do you have? Who do you trust? Whose car are you giving Jimmy to do this sort of thing? Billy Turner. Because you can't send Jimmy by himself. You'll just get ripped off again. You got to send him with somebody you trust, somebody you're reliable, somebody you have a relationship with. Billy Turner. More Jimmy testimony. Jimmy described the interior of Lorenzen Wright's residence in Atlanta. You heard Michael Gibson testify. He had it down pretty good. He even described Mr. Gibson. Which the police, when they go find Mr. Gibson and talk to him, that all checks out. Jimmy and Sheriff continue a message about guns and murder in crude code. That may be the worst code I've ever seen. A party. We need a 9-inch monitor. I'm sure that didn't take y'all very long to figure out on your own glancing at it, much less when the attorneys went through it and when Jimmy Martin testified about it. But one thing you'll see that's consistent with Shara's method of communicating when she talks to her co-conspirators is she uses this weird, crude code, where I guess she's trying to maybe say, well, if somebody looks at it, no, we were talking about a party. You'll see that throughout this case when she's talking to Billy and when she's talking to Jimmy. The night of the murder, Jimmy says he calls Billy from both his cell phone and his payphone. We saw that borne out in the phone records. That's not really a dispute. Sometime after the murder, Billy and Shara come get Billy's car. They come get a metal detector to help search the murder scene. Jimmy describes him searching for a lost gun with a metal detector and cutting barbed wire. Well, you see in the crime scene pictures where a significant amount of that barbed wire has been cut out of that fence. So we know that happened. Shara and Billy tell Jimmy how the murder happened. He told you about that. He's later picked up by Billy and taken to a lake to dispose of the murder weapon. Lo and behold, we find this murder weapon in a lake, and it's the murder weapon per Servinia Braswell. She tested it with shell casings with the bullets. All matches up. That's your murder weapon. Jimmy describes a shotgun being in the trunk of Billy's car. Come back to that in a minute. So, we've got what Jimmy's told you. We've got what Jimmy's told the police. This is the story. Now, they can't just walk off one person's statement and start arresting people. You have to do an investigation. You have to corroborate what's going on. How do you do that? They go find the pregnant lady, Claudia. She says, Jimmy did attend a meeting where they discussed killing Lorenzen Wright. Turns out that's true. Claudia Robinson, sometime babysitter, also a teacher. She's going to tell you Jimmy was present at a plot. They're talking about killing Lorenzen Wright. Jimmy described it as they were having a brainstorming session on how to do it. Billy Turner, also present at that meeting. Jimmy says he's there. Claudia says he's there. And never at any times during this meeting, we asked Claudia, does Billy get up and say, whoa, I'm trying to be done with a murder. That's crazier. I don't want to be involved with that. Stays there. Doesn't walk away. Doesn't say, oh, I'm just the yard man. What are you doing? No, stays at the meeting. He's present when Sheriff, in fact, threatens to kill Claudia. Doesn't walk out at that point. And it turns out there's a prior meeting where they're talking about killing Lorenzen Wright. That wasn't the first one, that was the second one. Jimmy's not even there. The quote being Sharon saying, he's got a hit on me, he's got to go. It's either him or me, he's got to die. And Billy's response is like, not, no, that's crazy. Not, I'm getting out of here. Not like, well, lady, I just cut the grass around here. I don't know what you're talking about. This is nuts. Like, I'm going to the police. What are you talking about? It's, what do you want me to do, Sheriff? What do you want me to do? She says he's got to go. That's the first meeting. The second meeting Jimmy's at, where they're threatening to kill Claudia and talking about having a brainstorming session on how to murder Lorenzen Wright. So now you got Billy at two meetings. Claudia says he's there. Jimmy says he's there. And interestingly enough, and you'll see in the pictures, there's not much of a yard there. And Billy's over at that house multiple days a week. Let's move on to Facebook. Again, you have, like Jimmy said, him and Shara discussing money and guns, using kind of this crude code where a party is the murder. Because Jimmy's a rapper, that's the kind of thing rappers do. They do shows, they do parties, they do performances. She kind of keys this off as some kind of job he's going to do for her, right? They use the word party instead of murder. Jimmy's an aspiring rap artist. This becomes more interesting when you start seeing messages Shara sending to Billy. Also, coincidence or not, I'm going to say not, she's couching this in terms of some sort of job he's supposed to be doing. And I believe 11:47 at night, she's texting him, I'm going to need my commission. Ren want you to bring your cards in the AM before he fly out. You owe me, boy. That doesn't make sense for several reasons. One, she's killing him that night. He will not be around to take any cards in the morning. She's sending this text to the person who has at least 2 meetings about killing Lorenzen Wright. Lorenzen Wright does not live in Memphis. How does that make sense? In what world would Lorenzen Wright passing out yard man cards in Atlanta make sense? And it was mentioned at some point, well, he could have been handing them out in Memphis. He doesn't live in Memphis. Shara lives in Memphis. If you need somebody in Memphis to pass out your business cards, that'd be Shara, not the guy who lives in Atlanta. That makes no sense. But if you're looking at it in Shara's crude code, which is the way she texts people when she's trying to be sneaky, let's have a party, let's hand out your business cards, and this just so happens 11:47, 25 minutes before the murder, she's sending that text. 25 minutes before Lorenzen Wright is murdered, she is sending that text. Not to Jimmy, to Billy. Now, let's talk about some more communication. July 18th and 19th. Jimmy is in Batesville. Well, I'll say the phone is in Batesville. Per the testimony of Detective Evans. Call 1403, that's 2:03 in the afternoon. Jimmy's calling Billy. Now, for two guys that have no relationship with each other, they aren't friends, they don't hang out. Jimmy doesn't do yard work with Billy. Billy doesn't rap. One lives down in Batesville, one's in Collierville. They sure are communicating a lot the day the murder's going to get done. And not around when the murders get done. This is 2:03 in the afternoon. Billy calls Jimmy back. 4:53. Billy calls him again. Jimmy calls Billy. 5:37. Jimmy calls Billy. 6:13. Back and forth. Now, y'all heard all this testimony, and the defense is going to make out like this is some kind of way Jimmy's setting up an alibi. He's going to go do the murder and have someone call Billy, for some reason, to establish that he's in Batesville, using his phone, and to pay for it. How that makes sense when you don't have any relationship with Billy. If you're going to set up an alibi, you call your girlfriend or your mama so they can be like, oh yeah, that was him on the phone with me. That's who you call for the alibi. And here, you have that problem. That doesn't make sense. But the other problem is, at 11:43, Billy's calling Jimmy. Billy's calling Jimmy. Now go back, prior communication, 1813, that's 5.5 hours later. 5.5 hours later. Take a glance at the phone records. Billy has, I think, 11 calls in between these two communications with other people while he's at this cookout, right? He calls Jimmy. Now, y'all heard Jimmy talking. He would have to be one heck of a criminal mastermind to make Billy call him for his alibi. I mean, that's unbelievable. Because it's unbelievable. Because this isn't some insane attempt at creating an alibi for yourself. Billy called Jimmy. Then Jimmy calls him back from the payphone, 12:01. Jimmy calls him back from the payphone, 12:02. Jimmy calls him from his cell phone right as the murder is happening. Jimmy's in Batesville. And the defense has to come up with something to say about that because Jimmy's in Batesville, that's bad for Billy. If Jimmy's in Batesville, that's bad for Billy. Because who does that leave killing Lorenzen Wright, who was at the murder meeting? Billy Turner. Billy Turner. And then we have a call at 12:14 that's important, not because Merle Hampton's calling, but as you've seen with the maps, that places Billy away from his home. That places his phone hitting a tower that's hitting over the same area as Lorenzen Wright's 911 call. Maybe Billy's a master, or Jimmy's a mastermind setting up this alibi phone calls. He's so good, he made Jimmy go have a call over the murder scene. Billy, I'm sorry. That didn't make sense. What makes sense is Jimmy's in Batesville calling Billy back because Billy called him. You see the locations there. And as I talked about, and I know we have been over this so much with Sergeant Evans, but as you see in 12:14, that call from Merle Hampton. And again, these cones are representative. They do not delineate the actual length and width of the tower coverage. You heard Sergeant Evans say it is in fact longer and is in fact wider, could be as much as half a mile longer. You see the overhanging coverage at the termination of that call. Termination of 911 call, when Merle Hampton calls, they're over the same area. And keep in mind, those three calls, one from Jimmy's at 12:01, 12:02, 12:12, those are the ones Sergeant Evans said were on that tower near his house, but you couldn't say what side. And you couldn't say what side because it had gone down to analog. It's like when your phone goes from 5G to 4G or 4G to 3G because you're not getting a good signal. So we don't know what side of the tower he was hitting off when those calls came in. But I want you to think about what happens when you drop down to analog and your signal goes down. It's very possible his signal got worse because he was in the more rural area where they're killing Lorenzen Wright. And if you shade up the tower coverage from that home tower, that'd put you right there, wouldn't it? Walnut Lake. Jimmy tells him where the gun is. That's where it is. Told him in 2012, for whatever reason, whoever was looking for it decided not to do a very good job. Seems like the FBI found it real quick. Murder weapons where Jimmy told you where it was. He describes a shotgun, and lo and behold, we find shotgun shells in the trunk of Billy Turner's car. The car he hid out in the woods at his cousin's house. And another interesting fact, and I'm sorry, y'all, I'm going to try it one last time. And this is hard to see, but you should have this map in your packets. The lake for Walnut was described being out this direction, past Holly Springs, I think down 72. This is where Jimmy is. Jimmy, in his testimony, in fact...
We're going to hit the pause button on the state's closing arguments in the NBA star murder trial. To squeeze in a break as we're at the bottom of the hour. Thank you for being with us here on Court TV Live. Thanks for staying with us here on Court TV Live. I'm Julie Grant. Let's go back into the courtroom together in Tennessee for more of the NBA star murder trial. Right now, we're in the closing arguments, the last bits of information this jury is going to receive before they go back to deliberate the fate of Billy Ray Turner. Let's watch.
He threw some other gun in Arca Butler Lake. I hope I'm saying that right. Arca Butler Lake, which Mr. Perry in his questioning described as being a huge lake, a large lake. You also have another large lake, Lake Sardis, down here. Now, if Jimmy was going to pick the place to throw away a gun, don't you think he'd do it at Arca Butler, where he's already thrown one gun and is right off 55 as he's coming home, or Sardis, which is right by his hometown? Now, Walnut, that lake, that's a straight shot over to Collierville. That's what that is. Billy picked that leg. How to make any kind of sense to skip 2 large legs. One of one, you know Jimmy's already thrown a gun in because he told you he did. What makes sense is if you're in Collierville and you head out east, that's how you end up at Walnut. That's how you end up at Walnut. And keep in mind, we haven't really talked about this a whole lot, but if Jimmy's going to do this killing, wouldn't it make more sense for it to happen down in Mississippi, somewhere he's familiar? We haven't really talked about how this is right by Billy's house. There's no lack of rural area in Collierville to kill somebody, especially back in 2010 when things weren't as developed as they are now. We're going to get your cards to give Lorenzen, and then lo and behold, he gets killed over by Billy's house. Mike Gibson, he testified. He tells you about the details, the exact same details that Jimmy's telling you about going in the house. No alarm system. He tells you Shara made an unexpected visit in June and told him she checked the place out. That fits everything along with what Jimmy said. Because he and Billy did go to Atlanta to try and kill Lorenzen. Then you have Billy's statement. Now, keep in mind that the statement never got to the point where they did the formal written statement like they did back then. And well, Billy's going to say some things that aren't too good for him in this statement, or this interview. When the defense gets up here and tries to tell you that the police made all this up, keep in mind that they also wrote down that he said he didn't do it. If that's the game we're playing, making up statements and putting them on Billy, the first thing in that statement would have been like, well, I'm not putting anything down on paper, but I did it. First off, didn't do any business with Lorenzen Wright, only sheriff. Then why are we talking about giving Lorenzen Wright, who doesn't live here, your business cards? It's because he didn't do any business with Lorenzen Wright. He wasn't giving Lorenzen his business cards. That's yet again Sheriff's crude code telling him it's time to do the murder over by your house in Callis Cutoff. Didn't really know Jimmy, had only seen him twice, and they didn't have any dealings with each other. Well, that's a lot of phone calls on the day of the murder for people you don't deal with and you've only met twice. Sexually involved with Shara. That's important. Because you're not just going to trust the guy who cuts your grass to get into a murder. But the guy who's over at your house all the time, the guy you're having sex with, the guy you're talking to 6 times a day, that'd probably be somebody you trust. He couldn't explain why his vehicle was at Shara's house the morning Lorenzen Wright was killed. That should have been the easiest thing on earth. I'm there to cut the grass. I'm there to cut the grass. There to plant some shrubs. And that should be instant. Failed to point out Shara and Jimmy when shown photo lineups. Shara, Jimmy. You can maybe understand Jimmy, but not Shara. Got visibly nervous when shown the murder weapon. Said he met Shara at church when she suddenly came to town in 2017. Well, that's not true. She even says in the message, I missed you at church. If you're having a completely innocent meeting with Shara Wright to talk about Snoop or whatever, why are you going to tell that? Because you know he didn't. You've seen the pictures. You've seen where Shara is yet again communicating with Billy in a crude code. This your sis from Cali. And the code's so dumb, he doesn't even know who it is. You can read those and see the response. And the other woman who's actually phoning this has to say, this is Shara on my phone. Now, why are you going through the third person's phone? She could have got her number. The woman had it. She could have got it and dialed in her own phone and called him. Why are you calling from a third-party phone? Or not even calling, texting this stupid code, this your sis from Cali. Why not be like, this is Shara. Are you coming to the cookout? Or dinner, or whatever it was? No, yet again, Shara using the crude code she uses when she talks to conspirators. Admitted to getting the metal detector from Jimmy's mom's house. Jimmy says they got the metal detector. Billy's agreeing they got the metal detector. Gave some story about finding a diamond ring. But this fits in with what Jimmy's telling you. They got a metal detector to look for the 25 that was dropped. We know there's a 25 because there's 25 shell casings. Admitting to going to Atlanta to visit relatives, but couldn't give the names or phone numbers of those relatives. Phone numbers, okay. Even addresses, okay. But if you tell me you got relatives living in Atlanta, and I ask you who are they, and you say, Uncle Bob, Grandma, Cousin Jim. I was in Atlanta, but can't tell you who my relatives were there. I don't. Okay. Says it was a coincidence that he and Jimmy were there at the same time. Well, now, I don't know what number of coincidence we're up to now.
Well, what do you think about all of these points this prosecutor is making, really tying it all together for the jury, especially with that intimate relationship that Shara Wright, the evil mastermind behind this sick plot to murder her husband, and the man on trial were involved. The prosecutor making that very, very clear as the motivation here that's being alleged against Billy Ray Turner. Going to squeeze in a break. We're hitting pause. You won't miss any of the arguments. Stay right there. We'll be right back.
1-4.
Thanks for being with us on this Monday afternoon. I'm Julie Grant. Let's go back in the courtroom together for more of the NBA star murder trial. We're watching the closing arguments. Up right now is one of the prosecutors representing the state of Tennessee, and he's using a PowerPoint presentation for the jury. It's very simple in the way it looks, but it contains a lot of really great facts. Take a look.
You're at both murder meetings. The last text before the murder from Shara is to you. Your phone's hitting over the murder site. We got shotgun shells in the trunk of your car. You're saying you're in Atlanta. You don't know the names of your relatives you're visiting. And if you're there at the same time as Jimmy, it's a coincidence. That sounds like somebody that went to Atlanta with Jimmy and is trying to explain how he didn't go to Atlanta with Jimmy. You've got Lieutenant Beasley's testimony. They get a tip that Billy's cousin is all of a sudden trying to move this Dodge. It's been sitting back there in the woods all these years. That's a bit strange. To the point where he's dragged it out of there and flipped it upside down on a wrecker. He's trying to get it out of there so bad. Till a neighbor calls and tells on him. Same car they were using at the time, same car he loaned Jimmy, same car they used to go to Atlanta, just like Jimmy said, in a Dodge. He identified the smashed up version of the car. Said it looked the same. Red hand wire cutters and shotgun shells in the trunk. Jimmy told you he had a shotgun in the trunk when they were throwing this stuff in the lake. We got 17 shotgun shells in that trunk. Another coincidence? Coincidence like being in Atlanta at the same time? Being over the murder scene? Being at the murder meetings? Getting the last text from Sharon, some kind of dumb code. Let's go back to the secret meeting. The new set of investigators are running this scheme, and it's a pretty good one. We're going to wiretap Shara and Billy's phone. We're going to release to the media that we found the murder weapon, and we're going to see what happens. We're going to see what happens. What happens? Shara gets on a plane, takes an unexpected flight from California to Memphis. She contacts Billy using a third party's phone. And we've been over this, but again, using that stupid code. This is your sis from Cali. Come eat at TJ's. They meet at Janice Taylor's house, and we see them talk for 34 minutes. If you're catching up, talking about what everybody's been doing, who's been at church, how things going, how's the lawn business, how's California, how's the kids, what have you been up to? Isn't this great that they found the murder weapon, so they're going to find the killers? You can have all that conversation inside the house with your other church friends. That's what you're there. Sunday afternoon, lunch, fellowship, socialization. That's what that entire dinner is for. But instead, you go outside, and you walk up and down in November. Talking after you've had this meeting arranged to a third-party phone, using code. You didn't hand any proof about her going to see Jimmy. She went to see Billy. And the detective on the surveillance team told you they didn't observe her go to any other secret meetings. They were watching her. They were listening on the phones. They're seeing what she's doing. She had one secret meeting. That was with Billy Turner. Because when they find the murder weapon, you got to go talk to the person who used it to make sure he isn't the one telling police stuff. Because somebody always talks. Somebody always talks. And when you find a murder weapon, all of a sudden it's been missing for 7 years. Somebody's talking. So let's go over what we found out about Billy Turner, independent of what Jimmy told you. He has a sexual relationship with Shara. They have 186 calls in a 1-month period. He's present at her house multiple days a week. He's present at the first meeting where Sharon says she wants to kill Lorenzen Wright. His reaction is, "What do you want me to do?" He's present at the second meeting about killing Lorenzen Wright when Claudia is threatened. He calls Jimmy. He calls Jimmy right before the murder. Right before Sharon sends in this coded text. He's the last person she contacts. His cell phone connects over the same area as Lorenzen Wright's 911 call. You heard Sergeant Evans tell you that has to mean he left his house. It's too far. So he's left his house and he's over the same site. The murder occurs near his house, but not on the same tower, as you heard the story tell you. Shara erases all her texts. Not just Jimmy's texts, all Billy's texts. Now, they recovered some of them because we've seen them. But they said in the corners you could see where that little red X is. Those are the ones she's erased. Strange to take the trouble to erase a text if it's just about business cards. But if it's about a murder, you're going to erase that one. He admits to going to Atlanta, but can't tell you any relatives he visited or who they even are. Again, call using the third party, crude code. Lies about the nature of his meeting with her. He was part of this conspiracy to kill Lorenzen Wright. He's at both meetings. He never says he doesn't want to be a part of this. He never says, I'm not doing this. He in fact says, what do you need me to do? So you know he's in on the agreement. You know he's in on the plan. You know there's been an overt act because Lorenzen Wright's dead. But we've had other overt acts. Going to Atlanta, it's an overt act. Picking up the metal detector. Picking up the metal detector's an overt act. Going back to the crime scene, clean it up, it's an overt act.
We're going to hit the pause button on these closing arguments because we're nearing the top of the hour. That means it's time for a break. Thank you for spending part of your Monday afternoon with us. We'll be right back live after this.
Your own karma with Credit Karma.
You are watching Court TV Live, your front row seat to justice. I'm your midday host, Julie Grant. Great to have you with us on this Monday afternoon. We are watching the final arguments before the jury goes to deliberate in the NBA star murder trial. The victim is 34-year-old Lorenzen Wright, played for several NBA teams. 13 years he spent as a professional basketball player, beloved in his hometown of Memphis, Tennessee, where he was murdered in 2010. His case going cold for about 7 years' time until the state's star witness in this trial spoke up from jail. Jimmy Martin, the cousin of Lorenzen Wright's wife, Shira Wright, also someone said to be involved in this. She's in prison right now. And the third person that police say was involved is the man on trial right now, Billy Ray Turner. These are the three people that police say were behind the killing of Lorenzen Wright. Has the state met its burden? Well, the evidence is in. All they have left is argument now for this jury. The state's close is winding down. Let's go in together and watch some more now.
Barbed wire is an overt act. Throwing the gun in the lake is an overt act. Take your pick. He's there at the meetings. He asks what needs to be done. He's part of the agreement. He's part of the plan. There's an overt act. He is guilty of conspiracy to commit murder. He went to Atlanta to try and murder Lorenzen Wright. There's no way Sheriff is going to trust Jimmy with a car and money and guns after the first time she did it, he ripped her off for his own admission. Said he conned her. So when you've got a second trip to Atlanta, and you know Jimmy went because he describes the interior of that apartment, she is not going to send him by himself to steal all her stuff again. And you combine that with Billy saying he's in Atlanta, he can't tell you who he was there to visit, it's just a coincidence if he's there at the same time as Jimmy. That doesn't make sense. Because he was there with Jimmy. And going to Atlanta and going in that house of guns, that's an act towards the completion of that crime. That is criminal intent murder. He is guilty of criminal intent murder. Covered it up from start to finish. We got cleanup, we got throwing away guns. Little details, like Jimmy mentioned in the shotgun in his trunk and finding shell casings in his trunk. Those are little details I want you to think about putting this all together. What do you want me to do, Sheriff? What do you want me to do? I'm still shaking. Shooting red. I'm still shaking. Shooting red. That's what Jimmy said he said. Those are the two statements you need to keep in mind when you're thinking about who murdered Lorenzen Wright. Whose phone's over the site? Billy Turner. Who's the last text with Sheriff? Billy Turner. Who said, "What do you need me to do"? Billy Turner. Who's the person who murdered Lorenzen Wright, pulled that trigger while Jimmy's in Batesville? Billy Turner. After you review all this proof, I expect you to find him guilty on all charges. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.